Nice. Welcome to CT HorrorFest. Thank you. Awesome.
I'm going to start it off because I don't know how many of you have read Elvira's book. You had quite the journey.
I have. I can't believe they read it, and they're still here. They're my friends.
It's amazing. I first wanted to talk about because the way you write the book too, even some of the more painful memories, you tell with a sense of humor. So was the book cathartic for you to kind of?
Oh, seriously cathartic. I didn't know what I was getting into really when I started writing it, but it was like a year-long session with a psychiatrist. It really was. I mean, talking about all the things I've done. So many times I've said to people that my life was really weird or bizarre before I became Elvira, and then when I became Elvira, it got normal. So people are like, really? You know? And so I set out to prove that, and I think if you read it, you'll find out that I had a pretty weird life before I became Elvira, and calmed down at 30.
Not to drop names, but Jimmy Page is mentioned in the book. There's a few notables, but I
was trying to compete with my friend Elvira, who wrote I Met the Man.
I read that years ago.
Yeah,
that's another story. The other story that's very interesting, you didn't even want to try out for Elvira.
Well, I didn't. I was on my honeymoon, my first and only and last honeymoon, and I got called to go back to LA. I was in Colorado. And they called me to go back to LA for an audition, and I was like, I am not going to screw up my honeymoon, It's the only time that I'm having one. And normally when you're an actor, whenever you try to take a trip out of town, go see your family or whatever, that's when you get an audition. Then you rush back, you cut your trip short, you get there, and you don't get it. So I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And then when I got back, luckily, 2 weeks later, they still had not found anyone. So I went in and auditioned and ended up getting the part. And I owe that, I think, basically to my many years at the Groundlings improv group with Paul Rubens and Phil Hartman, John Paragon, all of whom are now passed away. But I think if it wasn't for those guys and the Groundlings, I would have certainly never been doing this.
Well, to me, when I read the book, your experience with the Groundlings, it kind of led to, because Elvira obviously was a sex symbol, but you were funny. Funny. So, I mean, and sometimes people don't always associate that together. Was that on purpose?
It was really weird. Just recently, I was at Paul Rubens' funeral, which was so sad, but I saw 1,000,001 friends, and one of the teachers of the Groundlings came up to me and said, it was such a heavy moment for me. She said, I think people didn't pay as much attention to you because you were like the pretty girl, the sexy girl, and they didn't realize that you were also funny. And that meant a lot to me because I did. I called myself the Groundling sex symbol. I was always playing a hooker or a showgirl or a stripper. That was always the parts I got, in the sketches. And so for her, as a teacher there, to acknowledge that I was actually funny too was a very big deal for me. But I always kind of used humor in dark situations because I had been burned as a child, 35% of my body, and the way I kind of got out of people did make fun of me and bully me and tease me, and the way I got around it was to do self-deprecating humor. And I think that's where that whole thing came from, But anyway, wow, that's a long answer to your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to kind of touch upon when you were Elvira and being so much in the spotlight, how you were you more comfortable with that a little bit, or did you love it?
Oh, I was comfortable with it. People, I don't know, my parents just said they were just happy I was wearing clothes. Because, I mean, I had been a go-go dancer and a showgirl in Las Vegas and model for Playboy, so, yeah, they were very happy that I was covered up as Elvira. So, yeah, I wasn't nervous about that part at all. It was great.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about also your love of horror and how, when you said you were young, you stayed with horror, and just talk about how you got into that and just your journey.
Yeah, it started with I wrote about in the book. My cousin Danny took me to see my first horror movie when I think it was the summer between second and third grade. And we went downtown in Colorado Springs into a cheap theater and we saw that House on Haunted Hill, which, oh my God, I was simultaneously mesmerized and terrified. I had nightmares for weeks, but I wanted more. I didn't know why. And so he started taking me to all the Roger Corman kind of movies. I loved them. I had to do the sneak out to do that. My parents didn't want to going to that kind of thing. And I got the bug. I tell you, I started reading, the horror magazines, ordering sculpture, like the Aurora model kits and building it. I mean, it was so weird. I was like, my sisters were playing with Barbie, and I was building like Frankenstein. So everybody thought it was weird. There wasn't even another boy that doing that I knew. It was just like, ew, she's a freak. So I just grew up really, really loving horror. I mean, I think I've seen every episode of Twilight Zone ever made. I was madly in love with the Addams Family. Watched the Monsters a little bit too, but I was the Addams Family camp. Although I like them both. I was in the Monsters, I know. I was the Monsters. Sorry, don't tell Rob. Anyway, which I love doing that movie. I had such a blast with Rob and Sherry. I love them so much. It was really fun. We shot that in Budapest, Hungary. It was a great time. Anyway, so I just grew up loving horror. Just got hooked on it. It's one of those things you see and you either love it or you don't. I became mesmerized. Absolutely. If anybody has a question, ask away. Okay, he said, I'll just repeat that. Apart from myself, who is my favorite horror host? Well, I obviously owe a lot to Vampira, because she was the first horror host of anybody, folks. I mean, people don't realize that. She was the absolute first. And she really set the stage. I thought it was country. Wow, it's like I say Vampira, it's country weapon. She was the first, and so without her, I would not be here. So even though we didn't have a great relationship, I still owe her a lot. And she's buried at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Hollywood. If you ever go there, there's an awesome statue and burial site there. It's really interesting to kind of go see it. Along with Pee-wee and John Peregrine, my writing partner, they're all good there too.
Got one right here.
What is your favorite contemporary horror?
Oh God, favorite contemporary. Yeah, okay, it's not so contemporary probably. I mean, I've seen things, well, I've seen a lot recently actually that I like. I've seen one of my more recent, and it's not that recent, but Get Out. I love that movie. I love that there's more diversity in it. I just love everything about it. I thought it was a wonderful movie. Megan, I love that. I love my Evil Dead series. I love all the So, I don't know. I try to see as many as I can. There's a couple I've got on my waiting list trying to see Shine. think there's more than that. What's the name? Yeah. And I told him that I have to go to see, but yeah. Thanks.
Anyone else have a question?
Ooh, nice shoes. Who shot the Spider-Man?
What was the most challenging thing you had to do in your career?
The most challenging thing I've had to do in my career. Signing autographs today. The most challenging thing I've had to do in my career as an Elvira. Oh my God. What would it be? I don't know, maybe, a few of the scenes that I've done in my 2 films. Mistress of the Dark, one was being tied to a stake in the middle of the night in November, freezing cold, surrounded by fire, rain, dogs, children. Nightmare. I've been on for 3 nights. I was simultaneously freezing and burning up. I was covered in like this spray that they sprayed in my wig and my dress, in a spray that wouldn't catch fire, which they didn't tell me. It itched like you can't imagine. So one time with my arms behind me, itching, just like ready to scream. So it was one fun challenge. The other one came in Haunted Hills when my stand-in, it was supposed to be my devil, didn't have the boobs. That was not good. So I had to stand in for her during the pendulum scene in Elvira's Haunted Hills. And that thing weighed 500 pounds, and it was sharp. I got a big cut on my booty. And it was just swinging back and forth, inches from my head. And I swear to God, I was terrified during the whole thing. It wasn't a fake blade. It was made out of wood, but it was so sharp it couldn't cut you. And it weighed 500 pounds. If it came off, I was going, I really will be split in half. That was awesome. Anyway, maybe those were the two scariest, biggest challenges I've had, I guess. I mean, the other challenge in general was just trying to get films made, being a woman, and being sexy, and wearing a sexy outfit, and going from door to door trying to get a movie made, and nobody wanted to do it. I wasn't that guy, I mean, meanwhile, Ernest is out there making, Ernest goes to Hollywood, and Ernest is bathroom, whatever. And I could not get a second movie made.
By the way, she talks about it in her book, which I don't know how many copies left. If you guys have not read this, please go pick it up. I don't need to do a commercial for you or anything, but I read the book. I thoroughly love the book, so if you guys, I don't know if you have anything left at your table, but pick this book up if she does not, and review from Sierra Entertainment because the book is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that commercial. How much do I owe you? Yeah, anyway, that was challenging. That just, it was hard 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and I think it's getting a little easier, but after my first film came out, and it, did extremely well in video, I still couldn't get a film made. So I made Haunted Hills using my own money and producing it myself. That's the only way I could get another movie going. The first movie had a budget of $13 million, which back then was a lot. But mine, I had to use my own money, so it's $1 million. So it's not as good as the first one, in many ways, because we didn't have that kind of budget. But it's what we could afford and what we could do. So, we had to kind of do it on budget.
You had a question in the back picture.
You ever try to drive away last night?
My car? You said, oh yeah, my car. I have my car, my Copmobile, which I bought when the movie, of our Mrs. of the Dark ended. I did not buy the car because it was a total piece of junk that did not run. Whenever you see it running, it's being pulled. And it was really, they had sawed the hardtop off, so there was no top, so you couldn't park it outside or anything. So I was offered to buy it, and I did not. And this very famous rock and roll photographer, Lynn Goldberg, bought the car. She had it all fixed up, and she used it for many years. And then I get a call from her about 10 years after the movie ended and offered me the car. We had a lot of money put into it. And I'm happy to say right now it's on display at, Count's Customs, Danny Coker, the TV show Counting Cars. He has a little museum in Vegas. So if you're ever out there, stop in to see the car because it looks awesome. I'm always happy to have it on display where fans can get to see it.
Awesome. We have time for time for one more question.
I got one right here.
Hi, what was your favorite scene in Mistress of Darkness?
My favorite thing in the movie?
Scene. What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene in the movie, making out with Bob. Let's see, what's my favorite scene in the movie? I think the end where I got up there and twirled tassels. I mean, it was just so fun. I just love doing it. I was sick with the flu that day. I had 103 fever, and I was like, I'm going to do this damn thing no matter what. And just doing that whole scene with Vegas, felt like I was back in Vegas and everything. It was a super fun scene to do. Yeah, thank you.
One more question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we got time for one more. I figured I'd come way back into the boondocks out here. Way over here? Is that who you want, Cassandra? Okay.
Hi, I have a question about Mistress of Darkness. So I've been reading your biography, and you mentioned your original manager. Is your manager in the movie a reflection of your real manager? Were they inspired by that?
Well, he wouldn't like to hear that, but a little bit. He's kind of a nerdy Jewish guy who does puns and jokes all the time. And I won't mention his name. I did kind of do a play off of him. Yeah, like an old Jewish comedian from, like, take my life, please, that kind of guy. And the manager really was sort of like that. He was the pun meister. He drove me insane with his puns. But yeah, so a little bit based on it. That's funny that you thought of that because it was true.
Thank you so much, Cassandra, for making CT HorrorFest. Again, she does have books at her table. I did get confirmation she does have some books left, so this is not paid advertisement. I just thought it was pretty out there. But thank you so much.
Sorry? Oh, Elvira.com. If you go there and then you scroll down, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, everything. I'm not on X, but I'm on almost everything else. So, Elvira.com.
Not a paid advertisement, but you do have the new boutique on Instagram.
I do.
Thank you.
Woo! Thanks for
Thank you, guys.